you can't really manage time. You manage yourself in relation to time because everybody gets that 24 hours and there's nothing you can do about it. You can like, oh, can I have 25 today? No, it doesn't work like that.
Master Coach Apostle Courtney McLean and Business Coach Zidane Simister are powered up to share their expertise on the business end.
Welcome to another episode of The Business End. And today promises to be an exciting, uplifting, and edifying episode. Here on The Business End, we provide real and practical solutions to advance businesses by speaking with experts in the field and also existing entrepreneurs. Today, I am your host, Zidane Simister, and today with me, my co-host, the Apostle Courtney McLean, Master Coach. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well, sir. I'm doing very well.
And today, we have with us a lady with a winning mentality. Her competencies span across several areas: entrepreneurship, podcasts. She's a host and producer of several podcasts. She's also great leadership training, and she has course well renowned. And today we have with us on the business end, Mrs. Enika Watkins Porter, who is the CEO of Grace to Grow Mentorship and Training. Welcome to our studios.
Thank you so much, Zayn. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Apostle.
Yes, we're excited to have you.
I'm super excited. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, must I say, Apostle, I can't wait to get into this episode because it's really not so often, Apostle, we have such a grace and such a person that has been doing it. And today we are certainly excited to have you. Let me give you a rundown, Apostle, of who we have. Just in case our listeners have been under a rock for a few years.
Tell us.
Mrs. Watkins Porter is she's the host of a podcast program that's called Entrepreneurial You. She's also an author, 7 times author, Apostle, where she has her most recent books is the Podcast Power. It's a quick start and guide to launch and level up your podcast brand. She also is the author of Healing with Gratitude, a 31-day devotional for inner strength. And of course, she has the Healing with Gratitude 31-day journal for inner strength. And that's the name of a few. But she has also interviewed several persons, Apostle, on her different podcasts. She's also the co-founder and also she is the first the creator of the Caribbean's first virtual conference and expo, Apostle. That's called Entrepreneurial You Virtual SME Conference and Expo. She's also, Apostle, the co-host and co-founder of She Leads Conference for Women in Leadership, which of course is the partnership with Jamaica Stock Exchange. Might I go on? She has hosted several leadercast events in Jamaica. Right? When I tell you, Apostle, we have a lady that has been doing it.
She has
winning
been doing
mentality. We have Mrs. Enika Watkins Porter. Welcome!
Thank you so much. I listened to that and I'm like, did I do all those things?
Wow, you have been doing it. And we are privileged to have you today.
And I'm humbled. I'm humbled and honored to be here.
We are certainly happy to have you. Now tell us, we will begin with this. What sort of services is offered in the Grace to Grow Mentorship and Training?
So the Grace to Grow Mentorship and Training Limited Program is actually a social enterprise, and what it does, it seeks to empower women who need a second chance in life to find their purpose and to walk in that purpose. And so there are 5 main pillars that the program rests upon: leadership, skills and entrepreneurship training, coaching and mentorship. There is also mindfulness, and there is counseling. Did I say counseling before? If I did, counseling. So it's 5 of them, 5 pillars.
Yes. And each of those pillars, Apostle, is quite important into building the total man, the total woman. And so she is embarking on a journey to build that total woman in making that woman the best version of themselves. And we applaud you.
Definitely. No, we observe that you have multiple streams of income, and that would be somewhat of a journey. It would have been a journey Tell us what that journey has been like.
That journey has been a roller coaster one. It has been one where, there are many wins along the way, many challenges along the way as well. But is one that I would not trade for anything in this world. I would not trade my experience because I grew up not being in a family that is entrepreneurially minded. Of course, I am not connected by color or by name to a certain echelon in society. But what it did for me is allow me to find my way. I had to wing a lot of things that I do. I had to wing it, but I made it. Several steps later, several years later, missteps and all, mistakes and all, I am here through the challenges, the ups and downs, and I enjoy my journey as an entrepreneur. As I said, I wouldn't trade it for anything in this world.
Thank you. So it has been a roller coaster.
It has been a roller coaster. Many times there are times when I remember when I started Pato Pearl, I started that business in 2007, and it was just a mere idea where I was so in love with brand Jamaica. Still am in love with brand Jamaica. And I thought to myself, I needed to have something that would resonate with not just Jamaicans, because at that time when I started, there was another brand around, famous, that has been around for some time. They died and then they resurrected and they were doing well, and they have caused an affinity to the Jamaican language and culture. And so there was a time when everybody was wanting everything Jamaican, and that's when it started. Wanted people overseas to to connect with that. And to cut a long story short, I eventually go into that full time, quit my secure job. Nobody leaves the Port Authority of Jamaica, except me, I guess. I left my full time job, with secure, with salary and paid vacation and all these things, and I went off on a limb to do my business. And I had to find, I had a brick and mortar. In retrospect, I think that was more an ego trip I took. In retrospect, I wouldn't have gone and do something physical. I would have gone online, which is what I'm so in love with now, the online space.
How do you propose one should manage or navigate when they have several business ventures?
Oh, you have to be very intentional because there's only 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
And I hear people talk a lot about time management, but I always say to persons who I mentor or coach that you can't really manage time. You manage yourself in relation to time, because everybody gets that 24 hours and there's nothing you can do about it. You can can I have 25 today? No, it doesn't work like that. So in that 24 hours, for me, when I'm really serious about accomplishing a goal, I have to make sure that every single hour of my day is accounted for. And I've used different tools over time to ensure that I know what I'm doing when I get up. I am starting with my prayer. Then know that overnight I became a mom, an aunt mom. So overnight I've had interjected in my life 2 young children, right? 3 and 5, but now 6. And so I have to know, okay, within this time I'm getting them ready for school and putting all the other things in place, that every single hour of the day is accounted for. Because before I know it, if I don't do that, the day would have gone by and where did it go? And at the end of the day, I feel like I didn't accomplish anything.
All right, so we're speaking to persons who have an interest in business, in entering business, and some of them are already in business. Now you have several businesses. I want for you to pinpoint each and give us a major learning from each.
The major lesson is that I took an ego trip when I didn't need to. It was nice to say, I had a wonderful launch. The media was there, and, because from the very get-go, the media was so in love with Pato Pearl and what I was doing. And had a lovely launch. I eventually ended up at Devon House, very costly. I learned that people came to Devon House for ice cream, not to buy T-shirts. So that was a major lesson. There was another business I started, and I won't call the name now because of the legal implications of that. Yes. But I should have waited, and I don't think this is a lesson well learned, because sometimes I still go ahead and do some things. I should have waited until my trademark actually came through before I started promoting, because I remember I was getting a lot of support, even from, on a personal note, I was featured again. The media used to love me really bad, right? So in that business, I went ahead and started promoting too soon. Some things I find that we need to incubate a bit more, a bit longer. There's a longer incubation period that's needed, and sometimes we just let things out too quickly, and it affects us. There are several other lessons along the way. For example, where I'm at now with the entrepreneurial you, I think the lesson from that is getting too comfortable. So for me, in 2017 is when I started my podcast, and everybody was asking, "Pod what?" Now people are asking the question because, of course, I began evangelizing. The media loves me, evangelizing, and I went all across the media platform, and I would talk about it and so on. And now everybody and his wife doing a podcast, and so the question is no longer what's a podcast, it's what's your podcast.
Yeah.
And in that, I recognize that I think I became a little comfortable, even just dwelling in my wins. And sometimes our successes can be our biggest, I don't want to say curse, but you get what I'm trying to say. Because we get so comfortable, and we think about the success that we've had in the past, and sometimes we rest as though this is the end, but when there's so much more to go. So I'm learning those lessons now, and I'm moving forward. I mean, I'm learning lessons from Grace to Grow, even too, because one of the major challenges I've had over time in business is that I expected my team, and sometimes still expect my team to have the same level of passion and drive that I do, when it is in reality unfair to them. Even since this week, as I was processing to do, because we're about to host a tea party, a fundraiser for Grace to Grow, and there was a level of overwhelm that came. I started feeling. But then since this week, I got a level of peace, is because it just feels as if, I'm reminded that the vision was given to me and not to the other person. And I have to take responsibility for the vision, and, and keep searching for the right people, not necessarily to want the ones that I have to be Henico, because there can never be another Henico.
I want to zero in on something that she said. If when you have a vision and the vision is given to you, Apostle, sometimes we expect the runners with us to have the same passion that God has given you that vision to run with. But the thing is, sometimes they may not share the vision at the start. So us as leaders and persons that are given that vision, and business owners out there, what we ought to do is give them grace, as Lady Enika is saying, but also find ways to empower them, to understand, let them, bring them on board, but get the buy-in into that vision. And at some point in time, they will become runners with us. And
Solid.
I think that, yes, yeah, I think that's a solid point to what she raised. But Lady Enika, you have been in a major player in the podcast arena in Jamaica and abroad. I'm sure you have interviewed several renowned persons, and they would have shared several of their success stories with you. What are some of the success stories or the major driving force into their success in business that you would care to share with us today?
All right, so I think what I can do is just take some of the lessons from what I've learned from them based on what they've
Yes.
shared.
Yes.
And there are many of them, because we've gone over 300 and almost 400 episodes now since 2017. One of the most, consistent things I've ever done.
Yeah.
And for me, I want to point out one, Les Brown. And he said something that we all know, we speak a lot about. We listen to him over and again. And he says, when life knocks you down, try to land on your back. Because if you can look up, then you can get up.
Yeah.
And entrepreneurship is that kind of a beast that knocks you over time and again.
Yeah.
What are you going to do on the days when you don't feel like going on? You don't feel like moving forward. You feel like throwing a pity party. I mean, I remember when I was hosting my first LeaderCast conference, and I called Dr. Nsombe Jaja, who is just everything to me. I called her and I wanted to throw a pity party, and she was like, no, we're not doing this. You're going to go out and you're going to get the sponsors, and it's going to happen.
Yeah.
She did not attend the party. Sadly, the party didn't happen. But that was a case of me wanting to give up. And so life knocking you down, just know that it's not the end. It's not about how many times you've been knocked down. It's about your willingness to get back up, and to have faith, knowing that you will get back up even stronger, and you're building muscles while you're doing it. There's also Seth Godin, marketer extraordinaire globally, that he spoke of one of his latest works was Shipping Creative Work. And in that book, he spoke to the fact, because we had a conversation around that book when he just launched it. He spoke about just, Nike, that popular brand, just do it. And that's the essence of the book. Just do it. Don't wait until it's all perfect. Don't wait for it to be, all beautiful. Start ugly. Just get it done.
Yeah.
And it will improve. So there are several approaches that I usually take. One is prayer, fundamentally, but also in terms of doing things that are practical. When I hit a brick wall, run into a brick wall, what I tend to do is to take a break. Because sometimes I find myself just wanting to solve the problem immediately, but the same level of, and usually I'm trying to solve that problem with the same level of thinking that I've always had, and that does not work, right? Insanity is, doing the same thing over and again, expecting a different result, right? Yes. Sometimes I recognize, is there a level of insanity going on here, because nothing has changed. So for me, taking a break works a lot. I have a day that I don't turn on my phone. I totally disconnected from my computer. I've been doing it, and I started that when I did coaching with Apostle. That was when I started. And I decided, I think I was doing it a little, and then he says, just turn your phone off. And I think, yes, that's a great idea. And I turn my phone off on my computer and find that time to have a retreat with myself. Right? I've realized that navigating challenges for me too involves talking with people, other persons who may not necessarily have the solution, but they can give me a different perspective. And sometimes all you need to solve a challenge is a perspective. I never say, like, there are words I don't have in my vocabulary, so I don't have problem at all. Like, I don't use that word. I have challenges, and once there are challenges, then clearly there is a way to solve it. I just have not figured it out yet. So along the way, it's about just taking a step back and also recognizing that what got me here can't take me there. So there's always something else that I'm going to be needing to do to me differently, sharpening myself, learning. So now I'm heavily into learning, and even unlearning a lot of things that I've learned before.
What got you here can't take you there. I love that.
Not at all.
I'm loving that. No. So it's not. We have shared some sad part of business world and entrepreneurship.
Don't want to do business again.
We're sure you would have experienced a lot of wins as well, and we want for you to share with the viewers and listeners. What are some of the wins that you have experienced, and how has that shaped your outlook on life?
Thank you, Apostle, because I really do love to focus on the positive, and I'm happy for this question. Over time, I started business in 2007, many years ago, and over time I've had challenges. We spoke about some of those, but major wins. When I see Pato Apparel as the foundation business, though not still in operation, but it was able to take me around the world, places like China, Paraguay, India, Mexico, all over, Caribbean, US, all over the place. And having my products on display, that business became a door opener for me, because that's how people knew me. Like, most people who know me now still know me. They know me because of Pato Apparel. And that's what opened the door, and that's what led me to start speaking and getting platforms. And then I started writing, because I wanted to share more of me in a way that I can reach more than one person at a time. So there is that. There is my sauce line that I had in all these on these supermarket shelves across Jamaica. There is the launch, of course, of Grace to Grow. Graduating women at Sandals, Ocherios, graduating women at the Pegasus, and there's been so many. The podcast, of course. I'm producing podcasts for other companies. My podcast is listened to in over 140 countries, predominantly in the US, not even in Jamaica. And, things like those, I'm speaking to some of the persons who we grew up listening to, watching, and are inspired by, and I get to have conversations with them. There are just so many wins. But I think fundamentally for me, the major win is that I get to impact people. Because I remember growing up and wanting to I don't know. I had a strong desire. I don't know where I got that from, but I had a desire to reach the world. And for a long time, I just thought that yes, I'm local, but I'm not gonna act global, or I mean local, or think local. I'm going to think global. And so I've always thought about impacting the world, and I'm impacting people within my sphere of influence as well as people in places that I would never have been to, you know? So that for me is major. When persons can say to me that the words that you have spoken to me made a significant difference in my life. When people can say to me, I was down this path, but because you took the time to speak a word into me. Because entrepreneurship, yes, dollars, cents, marketing and sales and all that is important. But it for me, it's a means to an end rather than it being an end in itself. So it's about the impact that I'm having, and that for me brings me joy. Like there are several things that are not going right, but I focus on the things that are going right, and the things that are going right is that I'm changing lives.
Yeah.
That's big. That's big. What can be bigger than that?
Yes, making an impact as you go along. Beyond what you have mentioned so far, and you have mentioned a lot of things. Beyond what you have mentioned so far, what are some of the other advice that you want to give our viewers and listeners who are in business or desirous to get into business?
So number one, take the time to enjoy the journey.
Yes.
I remember times when I was in a rush to get to the next step and to get to the things that I really want, you know, like the big goal, the big, hairy, audacious goal that you want to get to. And a few years ago, it just dawned on me that I need to enjoy the journey, because where I'm at right now is an answered prayer from maybe 5 years ago, a month ago, a year ago. And because sometimes you're in a rush, you don't take the time to smell the rose and smell the coffee and all of that. And so it's important. Sometimes we're in a rush, and when we think about it in the physical sense, so you're driving to go, trying to find a destination that you've never been to before, and you start speeding. You're driving so fast, and guess what? You actually pass where you're supposed to go. You've gotten there and you didn't even realize that you got there because you were in a rush, and because you're in a rush, you missed it. And for me, is a very salient point, because I recognize that many points I reached, and in fact, I think I got some opportunities before that I was never ready for at the time when I got those opportunities. So emotional intelligence as well is a very big thing. Not just to be entrepreneurial and business savvy, but to be emotionally intelligent. So that's one. Enjoy the journey, and there is also understanding and knowing your why. Because on the days when you have like the sad stories that I talked about, on those days you're going to need something to push you and to remind you why it is that you're doing this. And if you don't have a solid why, you're going to quit 3 feet from gold.
Thank you so much, Enika. Sobering, inspiring, yet sobering, and we are so appreciative that you came in and you shared with us today. And I'm sure many of our viewers, many of our listeners would have been, totally inspired and encouraged by this. What's next for Mrs. Porter?
Okay, I'm excited about this new phase in my life where I'm all about sharpening the saw. And as I said earlier, what got me here can't take me there. So getting to the next level requires that I invest in myself. Invest in myself. I say that because it can be painful. And to take me to where I need to go so that I can be even a stronger support for those that I'm serving. Because I'm not just serving in the capacity, because Grace to Grow as it is right now does not pay me. Grace to Grow is a social enterprise until it begins to get to the place where it is, right? I am doing this for the women because it is important for them to get to the next level. But for my vocation, the Entrepreneurial You, where I'm doing podcasts for other persons, and coaching and doing everything podcasting, I'm setting myself up to be that person, that go-to person in the Caribbean, and by extension, eventually the world, that you go to when you want to start a podcast. And when you think anything podcasting, you should think Henico, Tamira, what is sponsor?
There you have it. So where can persons find you? On that note, Lady Enika, where can persons find you if they want to think anything podcast they should think you? Where can they find you?
Okay, all over social media, but hennikawatkisporter.com, 1, 2, Hennika at hennikawatkisporter.com, and 3, via WhatsApp, 876-849-2571. And that WhatsApp link is also on my website, so if you go Hennika Watkisporter, there's a direct WhatsApp link that you can send me and it comes to my phone. So I'd be happy to hear from you. I want to hear from you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We have a question. Do we have time for it?
Sure, go ahead, sir.
All right. When you go flat on your back, no cash, you're in debt, bank to pay, and the struggle is on, how do you get back up?
Find one somebody who believes in you. Just find one person, and it can't be that bad that you can't find one person that you can turn to for help. You know, no man is an island, no man stands alone. It sounds cliche, but it's the truth. You can, there's always going to be that one person that will be there to support you. And most importantly, though, you need to believe in yourself that this is you're just passing through this. You're going through it. You're not there to stay. You're passing through.
Yeah, that question came from Sharon Thomas. Sharon, you'll have your answer. Find somebody who believes in you. Association is everything. Go ahead, Sir Zidane.
We want to thank Lady Hennika for coming to the business end and sharing with us. And this has been a very enlightening conversation,
Yes,
Apostle. I know we will turn to our gems, Apostle. So if we have maybe 2 great takeaways from this episode with Lady Hennika.
Yeah, she said start slowly.
Yes.
Slow and steady
Yes.
wins the race.
Yes.
She said start slowly. That's 1. You go for 2.
The next one is, she says, retool. Retool. Do not be afraid to retool. Whenever you are up on a challenge or you're up on a struggle, sometimes it is admirable to step back, retool, re-strategize, and go again.
I'm loving it. I love that one. I love that one. I love it better than mine, actually. Yeah, but we're out of time.
We're out of time. We're out of time. But certainly, come over to our socials to interact with us. It is at the Business End Show. And we are on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and TikTok. And I want to say a special thank you to the hardest working production team. I want to say thank you. You're seeing us and you're hearing us, but the team is working behind the scenes and continue to do so with great excellence. Until next time, I want to say you are the Business End Show tribe. You are the best. Continue to be your increasing best. Thank you.
Master Coach Apostle Courtney McLean and Business Coach Zidane Sinister are powered up to share their expertise on the business end. But don't forget to tell a friend or a colleague, and of course have your tools on hand, your notebook and your pen. Classes are in session every Tuesday, 3:30 on Gospel JA for the business end. Master Coach Apostle Courtney McLean and Business Coach Zidane Sinister await you.